All right, freshmen. In just a couple minutes, we're going to have company.
Where are they from?
If nothing else, my bosses from Ohio will be here.
Japan.
Where are they from?
Columbus.
I thought you were from.
And I don't know if Mary's going to crank up the robot or...
I've been trying to connect to the double, but it hasn't been connecting, but we don't want to spend a lot of time getting that done, so.
No, I can just go make sure it connects to my jetpack and it'll be fine. I just didn't know. So, they're going to need to see a couple of questions. Some kids a little bit. And if you're all done working, we can have presentations. When they question, when you present, everybody else in the room should have the rubric open and should be filling it out during the presentation. And you should be asking questions at the end.
Is the rubric on our computer?
The rubric is in Edmodo. You just answer, did they do it? Did they do it well? If the answer is no, give them a 0.
There's another man on the screen.
Yeah, there is.
I can get like the server or like. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary Double should be up and ready.
Oh, cool. All right. I'll give it a shot.
Does anybody else need help?
Okay, so for this you just you don't have to like how do we know what group it is? How do we like put their names in there?
Right there.
So we put like group
No, you put their names.
and then we just put like
Yep.
like 3 or we put
1 or 0.
So there's just
4 or 0. 2 or 0, 2 or 0, 10 or 0. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah. 10 or 0.
So what's going on with the basketball there? Is that part of a presentation?
Yeah.
Oh, and how are you using it in your presentation? I'm curious now.
My finger is supposed to be the axle, and then the merry-go-round spinning on the axle. If I can get it.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
it's a demonstration of the simple machine that is.
You both have the same thing? Both have the merry-go-round?
We had that first. Can I just jump into their group?
No, you're fine. And you can be last so that they're off before you do yours. Why not? I don't either. Yeah, let's do.
Where's the rubric work?
Today they're preparing for 5-minute, which is a presentation explaining what their simple machine is, how it works, and they have to explain this as if they were presenting it to a second or third grader. And we're hoping that our authentic audience, one of these days coming up soon, will be an elementary school class, so we can actually share this with the community.
So do we like?
And
Hey guys!
they get moved around from group to group. They answer questions. The kids are not afraid of the computer, right? Or the ladies on the other end? No?
So do we like submit it
After you fill out the rubric, yes. And we should all talk about the rubric. As you can see in the back of our room, my wife Mary Schneider has our
terrible refresh rate. So I don't know if we should,
Has our
this is like really jerky on my end. I'm not certain I'll stay
okay?
this way anyway.
Our double is going. I don't know if you guys talked about double before you came in.
The connection between our house and yours.
There's a Segway and a stick and an iPad
Holy cow, that's a lot of people.
and a little bit of reverb if I stand too close. So it looks like you guys are all done. It looks like you have a presentation ready to go because you're sitting around and
Yeah, we're trying to get the video on.
okay.
Okay, so how do you submit?
Are we going to like fill out the rubric? Like,
I need to talk to everybody about that. We'll do that in about 2 seconds.
What about this?
Freshmen, it's time. The other piece of technology in our room is our Swivl, which follows me and records our classes, and then our classes end up on YouTube. So any sick kids like the one we had in the back of the room today can come into class, they can make up their work, they can find out what went on in class, and then text or email a question to any one of the 3 instructors. Girls, have a seat. You guys are first?
No, we were just joking.
That's the weird thing. I had to wait for Mrs. Schneider to get done talking to the group in the back before I could start. Takes a little getting used to. You guys are going first? Do you have something that needs to be on there? Go start making it happen. Everybody else needs to open up the rubric from Edmodo. At the top of the rubric is a slot for the student's name. You need to put in all 3 of the people in the group. You need to do a file save as and give it a different name, or it's going to write over your blank one.
I got a question about, I'll ask that after class.
So, everybody should have that open. Remember we talked about rubrics before? It's an all or nothing. It's like a light switch. They either did a good job on it or they did not. Those are your only options. Yes. We'll turn the volume down. That'll solve that. So, the first thing in the rubric is what?
Name.
The first thing worth points in your rubric.
Oh, it's the brainstorm thing.
Brainstorm, what's that worth?
Oh, we had to put that in our presentation.
It's worth 1 point. What we didn't submit that like a long time ago.
You submitted that a long time ago. Did we do that kind of together?
Yeah.
We talked as a group for a while. Can we assume that everybody gets the 1 point for the brainstorm?
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Research.
Can we assume that they have research? No. You should be able to look at their stuff on the overhead and you should know these guys did some research. If they did enough research and you think they did it well, they get 3 points. If they didn't do enough research, then they get 0 points. There's no 2s and no 1s. And there's also no friends during presentations. There's only facts. They either did it and they did it well, or they get a 0. Sounds really, really harsh. Sounds really terrible, but they get to do it over again. Anything that they mess up, they can come back and do it over, and they can fix their grade. So you do not have to freak out and say, oh my goodness, I'm going to give one of my friends a 31%. No, they'll do it over again. They'll do a better job. Their grade will go up. It won't be a 31. The 31 goes away, actually. So it's not like they get a 31 and an 85. They get the 85, if that's what they get second time around. Questions? Last minute questions. Everybody's got the rubric open?
Yes.
Just the bar.
Where's the rubric?
Oh yeah, you got a yellow bar up here.
But that didn't say that though.
Click on that yellow bar.
Let me see where is the first.
You are in Excel Online. You might have to download. Is because you don't have. There it is. That button right there.
You touch it. So download it.
Yeah, download it onto your desktop. And when you open that one, it'll work just fine. So, you guys are ready? And these guys want to see in here, so it looks like I'm sitting in the front. But I can't see anything.
Could you move us up a little bit? Oh, perfect.
Yep, I just had to make it full screen so I could even see it was so tiny. Mary, you're going to need to turn the volume down. What kind of problem are we doing on the rubric? It already says playground motion in there, right? You're good. You guys are on.
We have The Motion of the Teeter-Totter by me, Brock, and Caleb.
Length and width. For the teeter-totter that we did outside, the length was 10 foot, 7 inches, and the width was 9¼ inches, excuse the 9 foot. Depending on where your center of gravity is, somebody that is lighter than you could have more torque and therefore more force on the board, making you go down even though making them go down even though they're lighter than you. And for example, if you were sitting 1 foot from the fulcrum of the teeter-totter, which is the middle point that it balances on, if you were sitting 1 foot from that and you weighed 100 pounds, and the other person sat 5 foot back and weighed 80 pounds, then they would go down because they have just so much more torque than you because of that extra 3 foot.
Weight placement. We had, if Joey weighs 110 pounds and Jerry weighs 90 pounds, with the teeter-totter being 10 foot, 7 inches long. To balance the teeter-totter, Jerry would have to be sitting on the edge, 5 foot, 3.5 inches from the fulcrum from the middle point. And Joey would need to sit approximately 4 foot, 5 inches from the fulcrum. That would cause Jerry to have more torque on him.
So here it would make them balance.
Oh, balance. My bad. Balance out.
Type of machine. Teeter-totter is a simple machine called a lever. In this machine, a bar creates its own fulcrum by putting effort on one side of the bar. When you do this, the load will move more in the opposite direction of the force applied. So, if you have two evenly balanced kids sitting there's two kids that weigh the same, they sit in the exact same place, your teeter-totter is going to be balanced. If you got one that weighs 120 and one that weighs 115, and they're sitting in the same place, you're going to have the kid that weighs 120 start heading down a little bit more. They might not touch the ground the whole way, but they're still going to put more force on that side of the teeter-totter.
And safety, there isn't really much to being safe on a teeter-totter other than don't fall off because it can make the other person fall back really hard.
Brock, do I have this tipped right?
Oh, here we go.
Do I have this tipped right?
Yeah, I don't want to skip now.
There. This is it.
Pause that. Hit that
Oh, is it a video
screen right
you're
there.
trying to get?
Yes.
Oh, fun.
And now,
Okay.
click on it.
There you go. We'll watch it.
Oh, this is the disastrous video.
Yes.
It'll be educational. Educational.
There we go.
And why did that one go down?
Because I had more of my body weight in the center of gravity back.
I like how we make the board bend.
There it goes.
Are you done?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Question for him.
Shoot.
Hey guys, you guys talked about the weight and everything, right?
Yes.
But what happened? Okay, so let's pretend that me and Mr. Schneider weigh the same for this point in time, right? But he's 6'6" and I'm 5'4". Will we still balance out?
No.
Depending on how forward or backward your torso is, you could be. 'Cause-
So the height has something to do with it.
Yes. Where your center of mass is on the teeter-totter.
Very cool. Awesome.
That was a great answer. Freshman, I said you had to have questions. You got questions for him? Is there anything in the rubric that you maybe aren't sure they covered that you want to ask them a question about to make sure that they cover it?
I have another question.
Yes. There's your rabbit hole.
Kia, what was your question? Sorry.
Yeah, let go
Oh,
first.
research. Did you see any math?
Ish.
Pictures?
With
Did you see any vocabulary terms that they probably didn't know? Did they use any words you didn't know?
potential.
Like torque?
Torque.
I was glad torque was in there.
That was like, that's like.
Our second scene is like.
My seniors didn't use torque today. Good job.
I have another question.
Okay, Mary, go.
And this kind of sounds harsh coming out right away, guys, and I don't mean it to. But why do I care? Remember, I'm English, right? So how does this information help me in the end?
To better understand what we're talking about.
That's true, but how can I apply it to my life?
Depending on if you got to load something like into a pickup bed, you can use this type of simple machine to help you lift it in.
So you mean I don't need my husband's help to haul something? I can use this and do that, get it done?
Yeah.
Yes,
Higher
potentially.
than ever kid.
Awesome.
Okay, so like, if you knew the, okay, so say you have one person sitting on this side and another person sitting on this side, like, and you knew both of their weights, but you only knew one of the person's distance from the middle. How would you find out what the other person's distance from the middle was?
Be further.
That's a great question.
You would, Caleb would explain.
Are they balanced out? If they're balanced out, but they're different
The balance on
ways.
weight.
You would take one person's mass times the distance from the fulcrum, and then you would take the product of that and divide it by the other person's mass, and that will give you their distance from the fulcrum,
Very good.
theoretically speaking.
Just had to do algebra in your head, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes.
And what was the question? We didn't quite hear it on our
Oh,
end over here.
if you know the weight of two people on a teeter-totter, and you know how far from the middle one of them is, how do you calculate how far from the middle the other one is?
Yep.
And what formula did you use to calculate that?
the weight times distance equals the other person's weight.
There you go. Mass times distance on the left is mass times distance on the right.
That's a lot of variables.
Yes, it is. Other questions from the group? Questions about the rubric? Whether they did stuff or not?
What was the biggest challenge, guys?
Ooh, good question.
Probably trying to figure out if you have two people, two different weights. Trying to figure out where they'd exactly have to be at on the teeter-totter to balance them out. Just figuring out the math right away.
Where they're supposed to
Took
be
a long
right in
time
there.
at first.
Or where they're right.
It's that math. Math is always bad, right?
Yes.
You know what it stands for?
So right here?
You got to put numbers in right here. Points earned. You put those numbers in, it'll do the math for you. Good job, guys. Who wanted to be second? Is that you guys? Do you have a PowerPoint? Is it on a stick? You're going to want to plug the stick into that machine, and it's behind on the right side. Is that correct? Yes. Yep. You're going to want to save your rubric, guys. Save it on your desktop or something where you can email it to the next person when we get done. You don't have to email it right now. And then open up a blank one again. And then put in your new presenters. Where's your thumb drive? You know where it goes?
Kate does. She already tested it.
Goes back there.
Yeah,
And
she's
then you
already
can-
been up here.
Okay. I'll just be quiet and let you do it then.
Hey, we go through all these today.
You'll take care of that right away though on Monday, right? Questions on presentations? Let's ask these guys. Was that super hard?
Terrible.
Was the math killer?
Yes.
Was the science killer? Standing in front of the group?
Standing in front of the group was easy.
I thought we were going to invite little kids here.
Is standing in front of the group easy when you know what you're talking about or when you don't know what you're talking about? Okay. And that's why we do this, is to make sure that you know what you're talking about. If I give these guys a test, are they going to be able to do the same math you guys can do?
We're not as smart as them.
I can barely do the ones for
Oh, come on.
Hey guys, I'm a little old school too. Introduce yourselves so we know who you are.
Yeah. We should have names to put on things. Especially with the two ladies not being in the classroom all the time. I know.
I just want a name tag.
That would
I love
be
it.
really
We'll get
cool.
you name tags. We'll find a maker bot and make you name tags.
That might be all right.
I have a quick question for the class in terms of technology in the classroom. I know this isn't completely related to presentations,
Sure.
but what do you think of the double robot versus Mrs. Schneider and myself being on the laptop? Is it easier to interact with the double robot, or do you like it better when the laptop gets set at a table right next to you and you can talk to the laptop?
I like the laptop.
I like the double.
That sounds almost half and half.
I don't care. It doesn't really matter. I don't care.
I don't know, the talking head on the double freaks me out a little bit too.
It's about half and half. And there's 3 that want to abstain because they're not sure which way they like it better. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is so confusing.
Everybody have your rubric up? Ready to go?
No.
I'm trying to figure out how to do some
Are you getting help?
How much do you have to fill out, though? 'Cause
You
can't
go
fill it
you
out,
go right
can you?
down E. You go right down E. And if you decide to take away points, you go over here and tell them why.
Okay, but then do we have to fill out all of it out? Because
Nope.
they haven't
Only where
changed
there's a
it.
number. That was a good question. There's a whole bunch of rows, right?
I quit this.
Your rubric has like 75 rows. But only some of them have numbers beside them. only the numbered ones have to have anything done. So if there's a 5 there, you click in the total points earned right beside the 5. Either give them a 5 or 0. If you give them a 5, you move on. If you give them a 0, you go over to the right and you tell them why. It doesn't do anybody a whole lot of good to find out they got a 37% if they don't know why they got a 37%. So if they do something wrong, if they leave something out, you write down why you took those points away, and then you save, and you should save because we have to keep going. We have an audience today.
For like it says practice presentation in front of peers, like submit video.
Did they do that? Do you think they practiced?
Is this practicing?
Was their presentation good enough that you believe that they practiced it?
Okay, but like we don't do the submit
Yeah.
video, we don't do the
Right.
incorporate changes or the present
Yeah.
from the whole class. Okay.
At this point, it's time. You're going to have to hit save. Save that on your desktop. Open a blank one, and we're moving on. And these guys are starting. You may have to go back to Edmodo again.
We're doing merry-go-rounds. I'm Caitlin.
I'm Haley.
I'm Amanda. Big merry-go-round. Two people on a big merry-go-round. The speed goes slower with more people on there. One person on the big merry-go-round. It goes a little faster, but it is less stable than with two people. I don't know. Nobody on the big merry-go-round. It went way faster and it was a lot more unstable. The axle without anybody on the big merry-go-round.
So for our audience that isn't in the room with us, they're showing the videos up there, which you probably can't see very well. But it does show the merry-go-round wobbling quite a bit.
Can you move the computer so that we can see the screen?
I can try, but I don't know how well that comes across.
It's little merry-go-round.
We can see it really well. It's just the sound that's sacrificed because when we're turned towards the screen, we don't hear the presenters as well.
Two people on the little merry-go-round. It went semi-fast with both of them on it. One person on the little merry-go-round. It went faster than it did with two people on it. The axle with nobody on the little merry-go-round. Little and big merry-go-round. 72 and 16 inches long is the small merry-go-round. It is a one axle. If the kid sit in the middle, it went faster. If the kid sat on the outside, it went slower. 112 and 5/16 inches long was the merry-go-round, the big merry-go-round.
All right. Questions?
I have a question on this grading.
Let's not talk about grading right now. We'll do that. We'll do that later.
So why do you think that it went faster when the people were in the middle versus on the edge?
It takes more weight. There's more weight on the outside, so it kind of slows it down and it holds it down more. But on the middle, it's kind of closer to the axis, so it kind of goes faster. There's more weight in the middle, and it's easier to go, because if it's on the outside, it's like, I don't know how to say it. Like, it's more weight, so it's harder to go.
Megan? Like, do you think with the big merry-go-round, you know, how it wobbles, do you think there's any, like, mechanical issues that could be fixed up with that?
Yeah, possibly. Like, it could be tightened on the bottom because when there's less people, it wobbles more because there's less weight on it, so it needs tightened probably.
What's basketball for?
It's for
Her finger represents the axle and the ball represents the
Nice.
Hey, ladies, can you apply this to my world? Again, why do I care?
because you're
Math teacher?
No, she's the English.
Oh, she's the English one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
I'm going to come back to you. That question's not going to go away for you guys. You guys need to figure out why it
You were gonna help?
matters to my world, right?
Yeah. Let's let them think a little bit. All right, formulating more questions over here. Are we ready for the hard part of this? Yeah. If this was speech class, what kind of grade would they get for their voice?
Bad. We didn't talk to her.
You're-
That's why I had to shut off the air conditioner because I couldn't hear the first group at all.
That was good thinking, and thank you for that. I was thinking the same thing.
Think about where your voice was being projected.
It was that way,
Right, and where's your audience?
that way, and
Right. Yeah, it's like a microphone. When you guys like are at home and you're talking into your hairbrush, pretending you're like Mariah Carey, and you all hold the microphone down here, but that's not where you hold the mic, right? You got to hold it out here so that the sound projects out. So you have to do that to your audience. You have to always make sure that you're speaking to your audience.
What else? We started picking on them. Let's just keep going.
oh, you couldn't see the blue on the yellow.
Oh,
sorry, stupid.
yeah. We had pastel blue on a yellow background.
I tried fixing it on here, but
And it works great on your computer, doesn't it?
yeah,
And then when it comes out the projector,
it doesn't work.
it all kind of washes out. So you need to be aware of that. The rest of you probably shouldn't make that error, right? What about the size of their words and numbers and letters and stuff? What about the first presentation?
Those were really
Did they have like 5 lines of text and it was all pretty small? Emily, in the back, farthest away, could you read?
No.
Neither one of them, could you? No.
Wow, what was that?
There's a rule called the 6x6 rule. You should have no more than 6 words, no more than 6 rows of words. If you have more than that, they're probably too small and the people in the back won't be able to read them. Are these big things? These little things?
Tiny.
Does it make a difference?
Yes.
Does it make a big difference if you have giant letters and not very much stuff on each slide and you take your time?
At the end of the whole project, yes.
At the end, it does.
It's like in football or basketball. If you can correct all those little things that you messed up doing during the game, you're going to be a whole lot better than you think.
Yes. And before we let these ladies go, good or bad? You got to pick one.
What?
Did they do a good job or a bad job? Did they all talk just the very smallest possible amount that they could? Did they explain everything they needed to explain?
No.
No, from the people that presented. What did you leave out?
Hey, like,
That's okay.
I have a question for him though.
Go ahead.
How did you guys get measurements? Other than so how would you get the measurement of the speed of the merry-go-round going around?
We could like time how long it takes for it to go around so many times.
Oh, interesting. What does that give you?
We never had time to do
Yeah,
that.
we never did that.
Yeah, we don't have time.
Maybe the people that did the swings could help out just a little bit. Emily knows.
Get the swings to go all the way around.
There's a thing on Snapchat where if you take a picture and you like scroll sideways, it gives you how fast you're going.
Yeah, it
Shut
does.
up.
Really?
Seriously?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Is it an app or is it just in Snapchat?
It's a Snapchat. Like with the filters.
I'll show you.
It's in with the filters.
Brent wants
Okay.
to show everyone.
All right, bell rang. You're out of here. Don't forget to take your thumb drive. The rest of you are up next time. So make sure you have a presentation ready.
See, are you guys marching?
And that means that I have some time to talk to you people if that's what you want, Heather.
I was just asking them if they wanted to go back into the other room, but since the class ended 3 minutes early today, or is that my imagination?
I don't know. It could be the clocks just got tinkered with here. They're supposed to get out at
Okay, cool.
You do?
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
No, I'm not joking you.
You do.
No, that's what my parents fucking. That's because I don't know how to submit. So Clay's calling the school and gonna bitch to him.
Yeah, because I don't know what the heck we're doing either. I'd rather do notebooks.
I'd rather do text.
Why are you marching? I don't want it. Why is this stupid? Does anyone know why this is? We're marching! Chick, have you read these books? No. No, those books good?
Where's Mr. Snyder?
He'll be here. He had to don't make contact with some alien force.
Probably.
contact or anything, he's got some conference call or something.